Well, it's the eve of a very important game for the West Indies, up against India and coming off the back of a pretty tough loss against South Africa, and I'm happy to say Captain Jason Holder joins me. Thanks so much for that. How's it been for you as the captain to get the team up after, what was a tough loss against South Africa?
Yeah, it was a tough loss against South Africa. I think my job is difficult at times, but you know, we've been through things like this here before, and we've just bounced back, you know, tremendously in previous games afterwards. I think importantly, everybody just needs to know their particular role and just they need to know that they just need to execute it. I think everybody executes their role, you know, the job becomes a lot easier.
It's hard to execute when you've got batsmen who are making big scores in general, and you've done that as well. Has that been one of the key challenges to this World Cup? And also quite often teams batting first seem to be getting the wood over the teams chasing. Is that a factor, do you think?
I wouldn't say it's affected it in a sense. I just think we just need to be a little more disciplined when we bowl. Having said that, with four fielders on the side of the ring, it's quite difficult at this present time. You know, but we just need to narrow down our options a little bit, you know, thinner, so we can just, you know, be specific into what we actually want to do. I think once we do that, we could be a lot more disciplined than we actually are at the moment.
Now, coming to the WACA where you made your debut for the West Indies, is this ground a bit special for you for that? And could you have imagined that in a relatively short space of time you'd actually be leading your country out here?
Yeah, this ground, you know, was a special spot in my heart. Obviously making my debut here for West Indies, you know, was always a dream come true. To be back here now in 2015, captaining West Indies in a World Cup, you know, I would have never thought it would happen so early. You know, so again, it would be a special game for me going into it tomorrow.
What about the pitch itself? Obviously renowned, the WACA, for its bounce and its pace, and sometimes teams come here and bowl and maybe too short, thinking they can get too much out of it. Is that something that you've talked about, or something that you're relishing?
You know, it's something we made mention to. Obviously, the WACA presents a lot of pace and bounce, but having said, if you're too short, you tend to get, you know, spanked, and if you're too full, obviously, any batsman will cash in on it. So we just have to hit that ideal, and especially early on up to the opening batsman, you know, trying to set the tone for the game. I think once we get one or two early wickets, you know, we put pressure on their middle order, and then we can get into their lower order.
And now that you're at this stage, obviously you've had an up and down time, as a couple of teams have. How do you feel you're placed at this point going into this match?
Well, it's obviously an interesting table at this present time. What's going relatively decent for us is that we have a decent run rate. I think it's important that we just take it stage by stage, game by game. Obviously we have India tomorrow, we need to beat them and then move forward into the UAE game.
And looking at this India side, where do you think the big threat comes from them? Because their pace bowling attack has actually improved a lot as well coming into this tournament from what we saw of them in the summer.
I think they rely heavily on their batting, you know. I think they have a very good batting lineup which seems to be in form. You know, I have good players like Virat Kohli, you know, Suresh Raina, Shikhar Dhawan, Jinkaran, and less extent how MS Dhoni there, you know, to come. You know, but not to be honest, they made their bowling is pretty good, and it seems to be improving as this tournament has gone on. So as I said, we just need to execute what we have planned and be confident in what we have planned as well, and just, you know, play the cricket that we know we can play.
Okay, well, all the best for tomorrow, and I hope you enjoy coming back to this ground that's so special for you.
Thank you.